Welcome to the Fortress Fitness Lifestyle podcast series, where we cater to you mind, body, and soul, with host Victor Francis and his special guests tackling diet, exercise, diabetes, and much more. Tune in every Saturday at 7 p.m. This podcast is brought to you in part by Burgess Grove VA Services and Abini Pro Fitness.
Hi, good night. Welcome again to another episode of Fortress Fitness Lifestyle Podcast. And tonight we have none other than Dr. Nadira Rambocas. I think I pronounced it right or not. So without further ado, um, let's introduce Nadia to come on stage, please. Thank you. Hi, Doc.
Hi.
All right, but you're singing real soft, but we will make do, I guess, with whatever we have. Right. So Nadra is Nadra, right?
It's Nadira.
Need, oh, all right. Give me the full name now, please.
So it's Nadira Rambocas. Yes.
Nadira Rambocas. All right. So usually when we have guests come on stage, what happens is that we just allow them to introduce themselves properly because with their full title and what you do and whatever. So you could just let us know, your full title, doctor, and what you do and where you do what you do, and then we'll start from there.
Sure.
Can
So
you hear
I
me?
am Dr. Nadira Ram. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right. Yes, I hear you now. Yeah.
So I am Dr. Nadira Rambocas. I graduated from medical school in 2003, and after I've been a doctor for approximately 21 years, I am also the founder of Crown Hair TT. We are trying to eliminate period poverty by advocating for at least one free menstrual product for all women in Trinidad and Tobago. I am also involved with the University of the West Indies and the United Nations in trying to eliminate mercury in skincare creams. And currently, I have my own office in Valtine and I work at Medical Associates St. Joseph.
Wow, that's a lot though. That's a lot. I know we spoke sometime a couple months ago, and I was telling you, like I said, doing a lot. How you split yourself in all of that? Yeah.
It's pretty difficult, but I mean, as Trinities, we know how to multitask.
Well, some of us. So I think you need to break down in detail some of the things that you really do, so the viewers can understand what it is you really do in the sense of. We mentioned a lot there. So if you could just take it like just step by step and explain what it's about outside of the charitable part of it.
So I basically founded Crown Her TT after, experiencing with women and being in the medical field for over 20 years, seeing that women do suffer from obtaining, menstrual products, whether it be tampons or sanitary napkins. And, a lot of times they would ask for money to purchase these products, or they will ask you for samples of these products, especially in the hospitals and in my office. So I decided to do a medical study on period poverty in Trinidad and Tobago together with some other academics. And we published the study last year, January, and we found that about 52% of women in Trinidad and Tobago experience period poverty. That is 1 in 2 women. And this started our drive to advocate for legislative change so that at least one product, meaning a pack of sanitary napkins, is available for women who are menstruating in Trinidad and Tobago from the ages of, say, when they reproductive age, from when they start their menses to when they complete their menses. So usually from age 9 to 52, if that's the time period that most women have their period. So that was one of the first things that we started. We are currently going into schools to talk about menstruation, menstrual hygiene, and proper sanitation, both primary and secondary schools. And so far, we have visited about 20 different institutions to educate our young ladies as well as young men about these particular topics that are related to um, menstrual periods.
So, right, that's a lot. But all right, so the studies that you did, right? You would
Yeah.
have throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Is throughout Trinidad and Tobago?
Yes, it was throughout Trinidad and Trinidad. Actually, it was done during COVID when we had all, the shutdowns and restrictions and all of that. But we did go in person, and we did get consent, and we had a questionnaire that was done, and we went to um, urban areas that had a lot of women who were willing to answer the questions. So the only limitation that we had was that we didn't go to extreme rural areas to try to determine that, um, like a period poverty exists there, but it exists in the urban areas. What happened after is that um, this triggered a joint select committee on human rights, equality, and diversity, and they did their own online survey, and their results were akin to ours. In fact, they found that period poverty was 60%, not 52. So in Trinidad and Tobago, it's between 52 to 60%.
That's high though.
Yes, it
That's
is.
high. That's high for 1.34 million. And that's high. And it's sad to hear because to know in this day and age, it have so many people can't even afford what you're talking about, this sanitary napkin, right? And some ignorant people could say, well, you know, the parents or they're going for a job or whatever it is. But the truth and the fact is, so it is what it is, right? And I think outside of what you mentioned there, I haven't heard about any, well, let's use government institution trying to do what you're doing or reaching out or going in those areas to try to, lend a helping hand to see how they can help people who really need the help, and I think that has been a challenge or a concern. But a lot of, well, not a lot, but a few people who really concern and care, like yourself, to find ways to reach out to people who actually need the help, and that, and I can relate to that, because I myself, as I told you, I think last year or this year when I spoke to you, I have a charity as well that I really go out and look for the less fortunate, and it's amazing when you go out there and you talk to these people, some of them or most of them are willing enough to really do better. It's just that, sometimes the system, sometimes they didn't have proper education based on, parents, really hustling, trying to make ends meet. So, what you're doing, what you're actually doing there, I would ask if you're really getting funding from any government ministry.
Um, no, we don't get funding from the government. We get funding usually from private entities, thank God,
Mhm.
for those institutions and individuals and companies. Um, what you find interesting is that a lot of women, they would tend to prioritize like their kids' education and food and transport rather than themselves. So a lot of the women in Trinidad and Tobago would use like toilet paper, paper towels, rags, and cloth and bobby pin to manage your periods, which is not hygienic. And how could you participate in your daily life every day with dignity if this is what you're using?
Yes, I understand. And, you know, before we continue, I just, the people listening is that, whilst, I have the magazine, Fortress Fitness Lifestyle Magazine, and we do put these podcasts based on wellness. And, why you're here is that, the magazine is catered for mind, body, and soul. It's not a fitness magazine. And I know you're going to have an article in this issue coming out, which is in July, right? Speaking of what you're speaking about there, and hopefully that will help, your momentum of what you're actually doing and get probably more people on board, so you cannot say, one cannot say, well, I'm taking care of my health without taking care of, your body as well. And your hygiene is super important, right? And that's why, it was so, I was so interested when I hear what you do, some of the things that you do when I spoke to you earlier on, and even when you mentioned boys, what are the challenges that you find with boys in in your studies with areas that is probably, um, living under a particular class?
We think that men have to be educated as well, because at the end of the day, men are your husbands, your fathers, your brothers, your kids, and at some point in time they would have to take care of a woman when she's on her period. And so everyone needs to be sensitized about what a period is, what the cycle that women go through, how often, how frequent, the type of product that a particular female uses, how often it has to be changed, and how it has to be disposed of properly. But so far, most of the men are very open. They have been receptive to, learn about these things. In fact, some of the members of our group are male and are very passionate about ending period poverty.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that actually existed till I spoke to you some months ago, you know, and as I interested, area that you went in there, and you mentioned men, be educated in understanding how, woman body works, and I agree with you. And whilst in our side of the world, a lot of men, we was brought up to like stay away from that at that time of the month when women going through that period, because there's this false stigma, and I call it false stigma, whereby, you need to leave them alone, and it's just for them to deal with all by themselves, right? And I say false because I know that is not the right message was taught to us in the early, back in the day, right? So it's really important. I agree with you, and I support that, where men should know, whether it's wives or sisters, you know, how to deal with that, especially when living in the same home, not to pull away or not to shun, is something that is part of your nature and God-given body function, how it works, And I still, up to this day, I believe a lot of men still, at that time of the month for females, they just, pull away and wait for how much ever days to pass, but not realizing, you know, it's so bad, whereby a lot of women have to resort to paper towel and those kind of things you mentioned there. That's sad though. I'll be honest with you. That's sad. And I mean, and if ever you're doing your seminars, and I wouldn't mind supporting your cause in any way that I can, because I think that's really sad, because knowing the price of those things, and for somebody not being able to afford that in this modern era today, that's really, heart wrenching and really, really disappointing. That's just my present mindset.
So we try to explain that the cost of having a period is cumulative. So, for instance, on average, we found that in Trinidad and Tobago, women spend $100 every month on their menstrual product. But what I'm saying is that not only do you have to spend money on menstrual products, you have to spend money on medication for your period. You have to spend money on period underway. You have to spend money on, some women have what we call PMDD and PMS, and they will crave certain things, require certain medication, or they will require certain types of food that they would want prior to their period. And then, if for instance a woman has a medical condition like fibroids or endometriosis or polycystic ovaries, and they have heavy, painful, or irregular periods, the cost is additive.
Yes, I can imagine. I don't know, but I take your word for it. And yeah, well, in this particular podcast, I had to take your word for everything. And but even though what you say, what you say, I agree with you, and I believe that it still have a sad twist in me, for me, to know that we live in a world today, and even our country that is, yes, we'll have people poor, people can afford, but still, it's still sad to know. And for somebody who might be in a position that they can afford for themselves to go out in rural areas to do what you're doing, I mean that's priceless for what you're doing. So what I would ask as well is that, so if somebody know of a home where people are less fortunate than the average, they can reach out to you
Yes, they
to.
can.
Okay.
So we have donated to the different health authorities. We have donated to different homes. We have donated to um, various schools, primary and secondary. So we have tried to at least send some products that alleviate. I mean, that is not a solution because you have a period every month, so that is just temporary.
But where the schools are concerned, right? Assuming like it's primary school, how high up, even secondary, or just stick to primary, secondary as well.
Yes, yes, we do go to secondary schools, usually the form ones to threes, and the schools always ask us to come back to speak to the lower form. Usually we start with the form threes, which is like 14, and we try to eliminate all types of stigma that is out there and misinformation that is out there, especially when it comes to their period. So, for instance, some girls think that tampons, the L and the R means left and right. It just means light and regular. And in some instances, they don't know what a menstrual cup is. They don't know how to put on a sanitary pad, and they don't know how often to change these products. So we want to change that. And education is, we think, is the key. We want women out there because there's a whole generation of women that think that they should wear, sanitary those panty shields for their everyday their everyday secretions, and that is not how it's supposed to be. Sanitary pads, tampons, and those panty liners are for blood flow. So there is a lot of misinformation. There is a lot of education that needs to go on with respect to these products and to minimize stigma when it comes to
Do you think that based on your you being in schools, going to schools, primary and secondary, and talking to the teachers and even the students, do you think in some instances, not just that some of them might be less fortunate, because as you mentioned, there is based on educating them how to use and prepare, and at that particular time, at that age, do you think that parents are actually lacking in having that conversation with some of the girl children and boys? By
yes, they do. It's part of the stigma. Parents are unwilling. I mean, about 7 or 8 years ago, one of my patients was, she tried to encourage me to talk to some young girls about the period, and this was me. I really honestly don't even want to talk to my own daughter about her period, but okay. And yet here I am, right? Going into schools and talking to everybody kids about their period, right? Um, but it is something that is important. It's not something I want young ladies and women out there to know that there's nothing to be ashamed about. It's nothing that it's not natural. It's a well part of your body process. I wanted to know what normal is. That your period can last from anywhere from 3 to 10 days, that it occurs every 21 to 28 days, that, mild pain is normal, but if, for instance, that your period is heavy, irregular, and extremely painful, you need to seek healthcare, a healthcare professional, and so that they would know what is normal from what is not normal, so that they would get treatment early or diagnosed early, so that they can carry on their daily lives with dignity.
when you talking to these children and things like that, does the do they, like some of those who really need it, come to you after, or come and, is it a question and answer, or come to you after, and they will say, well, miss, I really don't have, and whatever the case, in order to qualify for what you all do for those who cannot really meet the
Yes,
financial.
actually, some do. They do. They do come closely, and they ask to speak to you after about a period that is heavy, that is extremely painful, that they have to go in the hospital. Some of them complain that they have extreme migraines or vomiting or dizziness and they're not able to function, and they want to know if that is normal, and it isn't. So, they always get advice that they need to see a specialist in that area, which is a gynecologist, because they may have pre-existing polycystic ovaries or endometriosis, which often goes undiagnosed for an extended period of time. So
Okay, okay.
we're trying to
Um,
change that mindset, and we want our young ladies to be comfortable with their period. We want to eliminate all the stigma and disinformation that is out there, and we want to make sure that everyone uses their product appropriately, and they sanitize properly, and that they basically get rid of their product appropriately as well, because there's also a problem with flushing of these products and blocking of the sewers and so forth.
yeah, but that is a big problem because eh, where I work, obviously I can't call the name of the company. We have that problem, with we have certain meeting where the maintenance people, like the people who do all the cleaning and clean the toilet and things like that, they complain to management based on they've seen females trying to flush those things in the bathroom, toilet, what have you, and obviously you know what that means. So, and this is people, everybody is, I believe is over 20. There's big people, 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it goes to show what you're saying there is so correct, because if it have women, is with children and adults, and still attempting to do that, obviously they miss the education that you trying to put out there at the from 9 and up. Clearly those adults missed that lesson because it wasn't available at that point in time, because if they're in their 30s and 40s they would have missed you. you know
Yeah.
yeah. So it's true, it's a real thing. And I've and I even in meetings with when that thing came up, is like, how can you fix that? Because there's a private thing when a woman be going in the bathroom and do their thing, and the janitor's complaining based on what they're faced with, and it's not their fault to really deal with that. So again, it's lack of education, and it make me wonder though. I mean, why this part of education is not being at least highlighted, or have a segment in the curricula, at least. I don't know what level. I don't know if it's primary or secondary. I don't know. What do you think?
So this is what we're advocating for as well. Not only do we want at least one premenstrual product available, we're advocating for menstrual education as well. There is like I said, there's a whole generation of women that use panty shoes every day for their normal secretions, which is not normal. There are women that do not know how to dispose of their menstrual products properly, and for us to change that mindset, we need to have this education that is ingrained from an early age, because the average age in Trinidad that we have is 11. So that would be in the primary school system. So from maybe standard 3, 4, 5, and all the way to 14. And, then we can change the mindset. And, then there would be a whole generation of women that can pass on this information to their own kids. And that is the change that we would like to see. So we had approached the Ministry of Education about what we were doing. So we have MOA approval to go into schools, because we basically said what we were going to talk about. And we laid out the plan that we wanted to initiate, and we got the approval. So this is how we started. But I think that that it should be something that the medical professionals are trained in to go into schools, and then it should be disseminated throughout the entire country.
Yeah, I think that's a very good initiative, and and I wish that to really come true because if it's in throughout the school, whether it's primary, even if it's primary school, it start there. At least when it's secondary, at least they will have the education and the knowledge of how to treat with that in standard one, standard two, and those particular age because they also in those schools also has, far as I know, because I'm involved in a lot of athletics for a long time. Their schools also have running, martial arts, swimming in primary school. So obviously the teachers will be encountering the same problem that I mentioned that even some corporate having. Yes. So it shows and it tells of the lack of educational information based on exactly what you doing and backing on. So you alone definitely cannot go in all the schools in Trinidad and Tobago, all right? So it really have to be, coming through, and you getting the support from the Ministry of Education through the school system in order to have a generation, as you rightly said, of young girls and boys knowing how to deal with that as they get older. And that is so critical and not getting surprised and have an incident in school when you're not prepared or even know how to deal with it. That's what I could say as a man based on what you're talking about there.
A lot of people don't realize that for women, your menstrual cycles control your life, especially for women who have a pre-existing medical disorder like polycystic ovaries or endometriosis. So a lot of times, our menstrual cycles, when I say they control our lives, for instance, we have a little pouch that we will take into the bathroom that would have a change of pads, some wipes, and maybe a change of underwear. Um, Discreetly, we do that, and that shouldn't be the case. Menstrual pads should be available in all bathrooms, in your workplace, in your school, right? We plan our vacations around our period. We wear certain colors around our period. We do not want our period when we have an exam or a particular meeting. So we plan our lives around our period. So, I mean, a lot of times, people feel like, okay, women in the period and it affects their moods and that type of thing. But really and truly, our lives revolve around our period a lot of times.
Yeah, and I think that's where the knowledge, the education for men is so important because again, as I keep saying, I've heard it so many times where you know, I men saying in groups where there's on the football pitch. I've been involved in so much things, and I hear men saying, boy, when my woman thinks she monthly, I had to stay far from her, right? Because she hormones be kicking up and she's get on and she's bite at me. So instead of men, come and say, how can I be of assistance when you are at that point in time? What would you think that you know you would need I can do to at least make it more comfortable. Not actually the situation is yours to carry, but as a spouse, what can I do? Should I be more, understanding when they snap at me, knowing that hey, this is not really me, it's hormones, and understand why. So I think it's important because it is for females to understand how to deal with it. And that's why when you said earlier on, is men as well. At first I was like, man, what do I do with us, But I understand based on what you're saying there, the importance of men knowing how to act when they're around their fiance, girlfriend, wife, or even sister, or even co-workers and all, not to snap back or not to shun because, imagine you have and I'm just saying this based on what you're saying, imagine you have a man who don't know how to deal with it. I mean, bad. I mean, you have it real bad, and your husband or whatever the case may be, and he's so loving and outside of that, and when that time comes, he's staying a mile away from you, you know, that can be a good thing. So the education, so I could see you going in schools and talking to boys and like, you're getting some kind of eyes and rolls, and men, the boys is like, well, at that age is like, what I do with us, but I mean, need to really sit down and listen, because if I have adult men, I've heard in my ear say, you know what, you know, I see it from her, and you see that the woman thing, and da 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 da, and me able at that time in the month, I'm very scornful, and I've heard men talk all that kind of thing, and I would actually say no, it's really nonsense, right?
Yeah.
So what you're doing there again, the schools is where it starts. I mean, to change tomorrow, you have to start today, and the best place to start is in school system. And I think I mean, your research and your whole plan, it was perfect and point to know that you have to start in schools and get young ones who is not already brainwashed into believing, you know what, this is a messy thing, and is my, well, in some instances, people might say it's my burden to carry. You understand?
So, a lot of times, for instance, it's only last year that, a lot of the um, studies on women, less than 2% of all medical studies are based on women because, of their menstrual periods, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's only in 2023 that the medical studies started to be done on actual blood. Blood is a tissue, so that our menstrual products, a lot of them, were done on colored water. So that is to say that some of our products are grossly inadequate for our needs because not only do we pass blood, there is pieces, there are clots, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and pieces of tissue. So because the lining of your womb sheds, and not always can pad or a tampon absorb non-liquid.
Yeah.
So
Well, mhm.
that
Go
is
ahead.
exactly, we want this whole thing to change. So
Yeah, well, what you're doing there, I mean, in my school time and even as an adult, and I've been in a lot of programs, seminars, and things with health, fitness, and I've never heard any speaker talk in length, as far as I can remember, based on what you doing. To me, that was always, um, you know, you know, to me, I think most of us from the older era, well, we wasn't, I mean, we wasn't taught to look at that anyway different to, just stay away. We were still growing up, stay away from a woman when they're going through that. That's what I think most men now, mature men, I think over 40, will say that growing up, they was told by their parents, hey, there's a woman thing, stay from that, this thing. And, some men is go so far as, they even wanted the woman at that point in time, or wife, to prepare food for them. And I've heard that. So it's really a stigma and a false narrative that was passed on from generations. So now that you're looking to change the stigma of generations of wrong information and wrong stigma, and I mean, starting when you started, yes, is a journey, and is if something that you if it's something which I know it had to be something for that particular topic, is that you have a passion for. Everybody that comes on this podcast, every professional, that pass through here, after talking to them, I've realized that they had a why they started what they started. Because you would have had a why out of all the field that you could have embarked on, and the areas that you could choose to speak on that is probably more profitable and most popular. You choose to do that, which is, in my humble view, helping, the people who actually need the help by, you know, education and supporting, them in some instances, giving them, whether it's a 1 month supply, whatever, based on what you can afford, because funding can only come from private. You must get government or the ministry on board to really distribute, for those who need more than just what you and your private sponsors can provide for what you're embarking on there.
There are other entities that there are other organizations that do what we do as well. There are places that have period banks. There are like there's Femin there is Helping Her Foundation, there is a Touch of Joy Foundation, there is a Pretty Tough Project, there is Project U Foundation. So there's a lot at the Sororities. There are a lot of organizations that try to help out, but for something that you have every month, you have to have something that is more sustainable and regular, right? So, we think that if you have legislative change, just like the first country in the world, which is Scotland, that they changed legislation on all menstrual products for all women, and their percentage of period poverty is 30%. Ours is 52 to 60%. So they changed the legislation, which is 30% period poverty, and they made all menstrual products available to all women in workplaces and schools. And that is what we are advocating for as well. And we are hoping that these products become available. For instance, you can start with little things like for those female recipients of the food card system, you can put an extra $100 every month, right?
Yes.
So that they can access menstrual products because they already, if they cannot afford food, they cannot afford a menstrual product.
Well, I also just straying a little bit. You, you're also an advocate for eliminating mercury from skincare cream. Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you just give a little more on that, please?
So I deal with skincare for the past 14 years. And I had a couple of patients that came with essentially chemical burns and a vague kind of mottling hypopigmentation. So hypopigmentation is white spots, right?
Hmm.
And just thinking, what could this cream possibly have that can cause this? So, one of the creams, the label on it actually indicates that it has mercury as its main ingredient, right? And that particular product is made in Jamaica and it's imported in Trinidad and sold over the counter. And I'm just like, this is insane. How is it that you can have this on the shelf available to um, pregnant women, to kids, to everyone? So I personally went to different entities, like different pharmacies, and told them to take it off their shelves because the label actually says mercury, 3% ammoniated mercury,
Hmm.
and to no avail. Wrote to every single entity in the ministry, nobody paid attention, and then decided that we will randomly assess um, all products, like a random selection of products over the counter in different pharmacies and different cosmetic places. So it was like a really hard task because to get the mercury tested was difficult. So I had to partner with the University of the West Indies. I partnered with Professor Mohammed, who is the Dean of Analytical Chemistry. And we had these products tested, and a large number of them have mercury, and a large number of them have mercury exceeding the amount that would be safe for human use, especially topical, because your skin is your largest organ. And if, for instance, you apply products on your skin, it's going to get absorbed. And mercury is an elemental metal that is deposited in your brain and your spinal cord, cause significant currently have mental problems, traumas, memory issues, and for persons who are, pregnant, for people who cause birth defects, for people who are trying to get pregnant, cause fertility issues, for for persons who use it for an extended period of time, they could cause irreversible damage to their body. So that was the whole point of doing this. And yet again, advocating that these products be taken off the shelf.
So how that going? Those products in particular coming off the shelf.
So I have partnered with the United Nations. It's part of the United Nations Environmental Program and the Zero Mercury Working Group, which is part of the United Nations, in eliminating these products. So there is a convention called the Minamata Convention, and it was started in Japan because there was an industry that produced some product, and the um, end, end product in the waterway was mercury, and they found that there was significant good defects in health issues with those people in that region. And so they started the Minamata Convention because of that town in Japan. And the Minamata Convention basically tries to eliminate mercury in all skincare products, medical products, in industrial uses because light bulbs and thermometers and all those things contain mercury. And in 2018 or 19, I believe, Trinidad and Tobago is one of those countries that got funding from the UN to determine how we can eliminate mercury in all these products that we have. Because if, for instance, all these skincare products are taken off the shelf, how are we going to dispose of them in a
Right.
safe manner?
Right.
If you're going to bury it, it's going to end up in your groundwater
Yes.
and then,
Yes.
right? So, but up to date, Trinidad has not become a signatory or become ratified with the Minamata Convention.
Yeah. Well, you know how we are here, and sometimes we tend to. Sometimes people in position tend to put money in front of health, and that's what I see happening here. Not just with what you talk about there, but that's what I've encountered. People tend to put everything in front of their health. Price as well. The cheaper products, I would imagine, may have a higher dosage. Could be or not. I'm not sure. But if what you say in there, because you said that some of the products have higher dosage of mercury, right? So it means that the people, the manufacturer of those products, they should have done the research and know what is the percentage of mercury could be in the product in order to make it suitable for the market for people skin.
But that's the thing. None of these products are manufactured locally. They're all imported.
So it's interesting. Yeah, but right. So they importing it, and the people who import the I don't know. Does it have a like a bureau of, I don't know what's the name of it, standard or whatever it is.
So, yes,
So
there is a bureau of standards, but they are not involved with food and drug. It is.
right, but all right, yes, okay. Because, and if you correct me again, if you're bringing in a pet, a dog or something from another country, there's a procedure to go through, right?
Right.
But if you're bringing in products like cream and all of that, and there's the Food and Drug Association or whatever ministry, wouldn't they know the information that you did, diverging there with the mercury, the levels of mercury that is in cream or products that people frequently use, that will end, and they will end up by a doctor eventually treating something that they wouldn't have had if they weren't using that cream. Do they
So
not have the information?
this is a problem that we're having because there is no law
Hmm.
that states that there's a safe amount of mercury that should be in skincare products in Trinidad and Tobago. That is the baseline. And the other thing is that they cannot enforce something that is not the law, right? So, for instance, we could say that these products are dangerous, and then the other problem that they're gonna have is that the importers, we can't. I mean, we are researchers and academics, and we can't exactly. We have emailed everyone, and asked for these products to be taken off these shelves. But at the same time, they cannot enforce a law that doesn't exist, as well as we do not belong to the Minamata Convention. So the convention cannot help and cannot help with legislative change, neither enforce anything that is not in our legislation.
Well, I understand. So I guess you have to have that. You have to have somebody debate talking about that in the parliament. Then
Yes, again, again,
yes,
same problem.
yes.
And this is why I have done these studies, because at the end of the day, the evidence and the data speaks for itself. I do not need to argue something that is not fact. It's fact. But to say that there would be change after these facts, it all depends on the legislators and the people that enforce the law.
Well, it's ironic you said that because you'll hear all kind of street talk and even on certain podcasts, and social media that governments like they really care and they doesn't really want to fix problem. They just talk like they just want to fix problem, but they really and truly there's always a bigger agenda, right? That's where they say the layman talking in the corner in the street, and you might say, well, them only talking, but if really and truly the fact, because you talking about skincare products, but I had a couple of people well on this podcast, you know, medical doctors, nutritionists and all of that, speaking of certain types of food that guarantee you to, high cholesterol, blood pressure, clog arteries, cancer, whatever. And you're not hearing on any platform like government program, or to any ministry, anybody from the government saying at least cut down on eating so and increase eating what is better for you. How come he doesn't hear no advocate from any government talking about better health, cut down on eating the junk foods, right? So the challenges that you facing in um, your plight for change for life, and that's saving life, because I know the dangers of mercury. I know the dangers of it. And I think most of the young person or even adults, if they Google that, the dangers of it, nothing good will come out of it, right? And then when people talk about, well, it's all about the dollars for the government, any government, I ain't talking about any particular side. And, big pharma had to make money and the medical thing had to make money. You just have to believe because look, you battling something that is not for you personally to benefit. It's for these for me, for people who you don't even know. You try to help, and yet,
So,
you, you
and
know,
I will give you an example. So, like, the thing, because I do skincare, I will want to promote my products, but that's not it. That's not the thing. If you are putting something in your body, either you are inhaling it, ingesting it, or exposed to something that is damaging
yes,
and permanently damaging your body, then it needs to be eliminated. You know, you're not gonna drink a whole bottle of acid. You know that's gonna damage the inside of your esophagus and your stomach. You know what I mean? Um, so there are some things like in skincare products that we have tried to eliminate, like triclosan from washing your hands because they are endocrine disruptors. Like parabens as well that we try to eliminate. We try to eliminate bisphenol A in plastics because it leaches into your water and causes breast cancer. The artificial sugars, some of them can cause, kidney stones. So you're putting something in a product to get better and you're making yourself worse. And some of these importers are very dishonest. So some of the ingredients do not, basically say what the entire ingredients they like, and that is a criminal charge according to the Food and Drug Act. And up to now, they're not they're not prosecuted, they're not held responsible. So
Yeah, well, because you see the refined sugar and the hidden sugars that is dangerous for our body. And I mean, I can talk about that. And the you never find it strange that once the information is there, and I think everybody know that is dangerous. There's no, no there's no movement or no indication shown from government, any government, to at least not even get rid of, but lessen the importation of those things, right? Because again, we as a people don't really read labels. I think you know that as well.
as well as like how they have Surgeon General warning that smoking is hazardous to your health. It should
Well,
have some stuff like that.
yes, and
Use at your own risk.
yes, and that has been on. I think that was back then. That was a big fight to even put that on cigarette label. I remember that didn't happen just so that was a big thing, right? And when people done, you know, neck deep into doing, with this tobacco thing, and dying from it, have cancer from it, they still they still pull whole day. So that's why the education is so important based on what you talk about, what you're doing, because there's a certain generation that we could call them lost because eh, you know the education they tell themselves, I don't set in no way. So the change as what you've been back on, I correct, and not with the with the young females and the hygiene together with the this cream and all that. We need to really educate younger folks to change the mindset of the generation that's coming, right? Because there's a lot of people set in the way. Some of the generation that coming will be prime ministers, they'll be in positions to really create change because the people in position now, right, tell themselves it's more important to support a big business that killing the population that probably could fund the election rather than to help the citizen live a healthier life and a longer life. It appears to me personally that the people in position not really interested of helping or healing or saving lives of the same people that they take an oath to protect and to help and to heal and to serve. They don't do it, right? They do it for themselves probably because they can afford it. But the people who outside, which is the majority, they not. It seems like they don't care because look, you go in and send emails to all the different ministries, and nobody takes you on because nobody want to tell some big company, hey, you need to not bring in this particular product because the CEO will tell them, well, this product making me 100 million for the year, and I'm paying taxes, whatever. And if you come down on me, it means that you're not going to get, you're not going to fund the campaign. So they rather kill 100,000 people after a couple of years based on those hidden sugars, right? And those kind of refined products and those all those things saturated fat and all that they seem to promote. They really don't care about you and I, or or your ply, or even my ply, where I'm promoting health and wellness and having symposium and having podcasts and putting out wellness magazine, talking about health and wellness product and with health vendors and and I send email, my team send email to a lot of the ministries too and companies, and yes, the same pushback. Well, this and that, you know, if we push in something that is unhealthy, or maybe promoting a party, right? I guess, yeah, they will jump on board, you know.
Probably. Yeah,
So we are seasonal, yeah.
yeah, but I mean, at least for me, I have the evidence, so you can't dispute the fact.
You are the evidence, and
Yeah,
they can't dispute the fact. But then why it is they're not saying, you know what?
acting on it.
Yes, this is what I'm saying. So it's not like, well, girl, go and do your homework because you saying one thing, but look at a document saying something different. They don't have that because you are the facts, and they're still not saying, you know what? Let's try and meet you halfway, or let's just implement one small change. You're not even getting that.
So I will tell you, for instance, in 2019, when Trinidad and Tobago got funding by the UN to, see how we can eliminate mercury, the other countries who were also part of that were Jamaica, um, St. Lucia, and St. Kitts Nevis. And the others joined on, and guess who did not join?
Mm, I know.
So imagine you speaking to the United Nations and they're asking, where's your country? And you're just thinking, so Guyana is saying that they are part of the Minamata Convention for 12 years. And Jamaica just joined on. So the United Nations and the Zero Mercury working group, they are helping them, right? And we are just like, well, we have, and then they would ask, can't you get a representative to go into Congress? And I said, well, our system is different. We don't have representatives. We have ministers and councillors, and we don't have Congress or Parliament. So
Uh, but let me ask this now. How do you feel when you're in those places and those questions are asked to you? Where's your representation? Where's your country? How do you feel?
I try not to. I try to hide, but I try not to really directly answer per se. Ashamed that Trinidad and Tobago is not a signatory or ratified, and other smaller islands have joined and have done a due process, and we have not.
I think for us, you know, there's only jump on things between January and March. That's the era. February, March. That's when the eyes is open because is when the most half the population not thinking, and we are fetting, and not studying our health and not studying what cream or what we digest or whatever. It's just about a 2 month thing, and then we back to putting our head in the sand and just eating poorly, putting the wrong thing on our body and on our body. But another thing, before, because I'm watching the time running, I think a lot of people not aware of, when if you put the wrong cream or cream with high mercury or anything dangerous, it usually goes in your pores and could cause you serious illness. I think a lot
So
of people don't know that.
there are cases, foreign cases, where mercury in skincare creams have caused significant damage. There's one particular case, I believe, is in Minnesota in the US, where a lady became vegetated because of prolonged use of mercury um, in her skin lightening cream. And not only does it affect her, it affects the persons in the household too, because you are already in direct contact with the persons in your home, and they can get mercury in their system as well. If you breastfeed, if for instance I had cases of young ladies using it between their legs because they're treating hyperpigmentation or marks between it, and it's just awful.
Yeah, it's sad. All right. Well, the marketing you do, I know I'm probably had to go back a different day because I realize is like a minute or two again to go for us. The hour passed so fast. But
Yes,
before we go, I just want to give you the opportunity to say, first of all, I know you have your own product. Is it so?
I have my own.
Do you have products that you sell, like skin products?
Yes,
Right. So let us know what's the name of it, where we can get it, so people who watching could say, all right, based on what you're embarking on, and your products, I guess, even myself would believe that, all right, well, products from you, I know it's safe because
yes.
you're advocate for safe products out there. So where can we get the products that you have, and what's the name of those products?
So I usually have like products that come from the US, but you have to be evaluated first before you go on these things. Because some of these things, you have to be monitored closely
Mm-hmm.
and not, yeah. So some of them are like, retinol based, they are like PCA skin or quintessence or CeraVe or La Roche-Posay or Obagi Medical. And my office is in Balvin. It's in a compound called Spa Euphoria, and my consult is usually free, so you can come, call, have a consult and assess your skin, and then you can go on your favorite product for your particular skin.
All right. So you open what, 5 days or 6 days a week?
Well,
And,
usually about 4, but the
mhm.
other days in the hospital.
So all right. So let's suppose, so at least the viewers could understand. Let's suppose I say, you know what, I have a skin condition. I feel my skin could be a little better. I seen something coming out. I just call you, book an appointment,
Yeah,
a consultation, right? And
yeah,
that first conversation will be free. Is it
yeah,
free?
yes, it is.
All right. And then based on what I'm saying and what you are seeing, you will say, all right, this might be the best product for you, or this is the best product for you based on your assessment. That's how it goes, right?
Yeah. But always wear sunblock.
Always. All right. All right. So before we go, because I see it's done 1 minute past before they cut us off, um, let us know, let the people know where they can get you on social media, your handles, things like that.
Right. So I can be found at social media on Instagram as Dr. underscore Nad underscore or Crown Her TT on Instagram and Facebook.
All right. And well, they'll get your contact there as well. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
All right. So uh, we will share this as well. This will be up on YouTube, and you feel free. You can always reach out to the team who have been dealing with you, and you could always send your flyer, your anything that you have, any information there, in order to we help promote positive business like yourself, and anything that is within health and wellness, a holistic approach. That's what we support. And as you could see, when you if you're on the page, we have doctors on the page, medical doctors, we have nutritionists, we have fitness professional, we have you know athletes, we have a lot of people that support us, and not just on the podcast, but when we're doing a symposium, health and wellness symposium, we're supposed to have, we're working on the next one right now where we will reach out to you to be part of it if once you're available, where you could, the education that you've given me here now and you're given by extension the people watching us, you can know, could meet you in person, because some people like privacy to just talk with you one-on-one apart from in the office. So we'll keep in touch with you. Thanks a million for coming.
Thanks
Thanks a
for
million
having
for
me.
making yourself available, and we'll continue to keep in touch. Have a blessed night and a wonderful weekend. Take care.
Same to
Yeah.
you. Bye.
Yeah. Uh,
Special thanks to our partners Virtuscope VA Services and Abini Pro Fitness. And don't forget to get issue 2 of the Fortress Fitness Lifestyle magazine available now.